Nice to meet you. Walden Schmidt is the first episode of season 9 of 2.5 Men. This is directed by James Widdoes, and as always there will be spoilers from now as I go through the episode chronologically and share some thoughts. I had reviewed this many years ago, about 15 years ago. I will private or unlist that review. I'm not going to listen to it back. I don't want to know what I thought at the time, but I can confirm that what I think at the time now is that it's a solid episode, but I'm really not ready for it. But I am also slightly excited, as I think I mentioned in a previous discussion, that I've seen season 9 a few times, I've seen season 10 a few times, but I don't think I've seen the last 2 seasons more than once. I know I've only seen the last season once, so while I'm not ready for this, I am quite looking forward to what's to come, because my memory of some of it is not that great, so that's quite exciting. There will be spoilers, of course, as I discuss things, and I would also love to know if anybody remembers watching this on broadcast. I didn't. I don't know when I watched it in terms of when it was released versus when I saw it, but certainly if you didn't know what was happening, I think it would come as quite a shock, because we start off with the funeral for Charlie Harper. His bowling ball shirt is hanging up, Alan is giving a speech, there are so many people there from Charlie's past, they all have comments to make, of course. Great to see Martin Mull there, and then Rose speaks and explains what happened, and he fell in front of a train, which, it makes sense when it's explained, but I don't know, I feel like it's not the most interesting explanation. We're then back at the house with the main characters, and I thought that was a really good way to establish that the rest of the cast, the rest of the main cast, is still around. It is just Charlie Sheen that's gone, and I won't go into too much detail about why, but there are reasons why they let Charlie Sheen go. They're not very good reasons, obviously, by which I mean they're not very positive things, but at the same time, do I agree that they should have let him go? From what I understand, it wasn't like a one strike and you're out kind of thing. As I understand it, this was off the back of quite a few things, but this is all just what I've read online. But either way, while I understand the decision to some extent, I'm still not ready for it. During that scene after the funeral, they're discussing what will happen with the house, which I guess is a pretty good question. And then we have a montage of people actually viewing the house, because Alan figures selling it is the right way to go. And he probably doesn't have any other options at this point. And John Stamos views the house, which I thought was a delight. And then Charlie's ashes arrive. And for a few minutes, it's quite moving. It's just Alan with the urn. And it's genuinely a really beautiful scene. It's really moving. It's really sweet. We're allowed to just sit with those moments. And I guess just gather our thoughts as viewers as well in that moment. And it's really beautifully done. And he's about to take the ashes out to the beach and scatter them on the beach. He has some reasons for why he thinks this is a good idea. But unfortunately for Alan, but delightfully for us as viewers, that it is one of the most beautifully executed scenes in any sitcom ever. Alan approaches the back door and there's a man in the doorway, and Alan obviously gets a huge fright. The ashes go everywhere. It's just absolutely fabulous. Berta appears from the kitchen with the simple remark, "I ain't cleaning him up." And it's beautiful. It's beautifully done. And after that calm, gentle, moving moment, they ramp the comedy back up, and it's absolutely fantastic. And it turns out this man, I'm going chronologically, I know who he is, of course, but this man was going to take his own, but it was too cold in the water. He didn't want to go through with it, so he phones somebody to see if this person will take him back. We're getting a little tiny bit of information here and there. Alan then tries to comfort him and says, I've been there, homeless, penniless, but then we find out that actually this man's very, very, very wealthy, and money doesn't buy happiness, which, yeah, fair comment. And we learn, of course, that this is Walden Schmidt, and Alan says, well, why don't we go to the bar and talk? And he can borrow some clothes, you can dry your clothes while we're out. And he just undresses. Walden just completely gets naked and then hugs Alan, which I thought was a really nice way to very quickly connect the characters. It is a physical connection more than anything else, but I think that was a really brilliant visual and really very quickly helped to bring Walden in, and I thought it was a really, really good idea. We're then at the bar scene. Usually the bar scenes are really quite boring. I've mentioned this many times in my 2.5 Men discussions, but this one worked really well because it was a really good way for us to get to know Walden. Alan is able to ask him questions directly, and that's a really great way for us to get not a tremendous amount of information, but a decent amount in a short space of time. And Walden does open up, and he starts to cry on the shoulder of some girls, and then Alan joins in because he misses his wife as well, even though his relationship with his ex-wife is very different to the relationship that Walden has with his at the time. And they go back to Alan's house, as I guess it is in the moment, and Walden ends up going upstairs with the girls, and we can assume he went into Charlie's bedroom. I'm kind of glad they didn't show that. I don't think I'd be ready for that yet. I think that would be too painful, too much, too soon. And I think the way they handled it was really, really effective. The following morning, Walden walks into the kitchen completely naked, and then he tells Alan that he wants to buy the house. And then Judith and Jake arrive, standing in the doorway, Walden still completely naked, and then we have "to be continued" on the screen. And it is a really fantastic introduction to the character. It is a very, very strong season opener, not just with the introduction to Walden, but establishing exactly where we are, exactly where the other characters are, and I think they did a fantastic job with it. Still not ready for it, but at the same time, I'm looking forward to it, which is a little contradictory, but I'm excited to see what I remember, excited to see bits that I don't remember, and Walden is a great character. I have nothing against the character. I really like him. I think he's brilliant. I think Ashton Kutcher was a great addition to the show. If they had to make that decision and they had to bring in somebody else, then I think the decisions they made there were all really effective and brilliant casting. But we'll talk more about that as we go, of course. And for now, I can say that while I'm not ready for the episode, ultimately, I think Nice to Meet You, Walden Schmidt is pretty brilliant.